Children have a right to be raised by their family, and the role and responsibility of the parent is critical. Nevertheless, when circumstances remove children from their families and place them in institutional care, we have a responsibility to ensure that the quality of care is as high as possible and that the needs of the children are understood and met. Principal needs of a child include affection, attachment, permanency, self-confidence, dignity, emotional security, and psychological well-being.
We find that most of the people that do this job are wonderful people, very empathetic. They have a really good understanding, but they don't always have the skills to bring it together. So we want to be able to empower them so that they can go back and they can really give the care and the love and the nourishment that their children really, really need.
I really like stay here because I can share my problem with another friends because we are here like a big family.
So for an orphanage, it's really important to have a point of view about what are the top 3 things you do really well today, and what are the top 3 challenges that you need to work on and ask help for in the future.
The idea of the conference really is to bring people together. It's to get them to discuss what's important about their job. It's get them to share ideas and hopefully to develop their own competencies so they can go away and do a better job and improve what's going on in their own institutions.
Dapat tahu, oh ternyata mendidik anak itu harusnya seperti ini, ternyata apa yang saya lakukan kemarin-kemarin itu belum benar dan perlu pembelajaran lagi. Dan nanti setelah pulang dari sini saya bisa mencobanya.
Pengasuhan terhadap anak-anak ini adalah sangat penting sekali. Karena pengasuhan anak-anak itu tidak hanya cukup memberikan tempat berteduh, makan dan minum serta pendidikan, tetapi pengasuhan kepada anak ini harus mampu memberikan suatu transformasi kepada anak-anak yang diasuh untuk masa depan mereka yang lebih baik.
This is very strategic training because REACT invited the childcare institution from the Java, Sumatra, and Bali, and also represent the various of the childcare institution background in Indonesia, whether this is from the government institution and also from the religious institution, and also the participants consist of the owner, the director, and also staff.
Topics that we'll be covering will be really to pull together a package that the caregivers can take away with them and put it into a practical setting when back in their own institution. So it'll be looking at things like the national care standards that have been put together by the government that they will need to follow and they need to have a knowledge of. And then putting that into a practical sense, so how can they plan a program for their children, how can they integrate with their community, how can they provide a family setting for their children, again to provide that love, that nurturing environment that they need. And then practical stuff, like business type stuff almost, like creating a strategic plan, project management, how to do a proposal. So again, it's all about pulling together a package so that they can walk away and do a better job back in their own institutions.
This is very important and a great opportunity for us to share the national standard of care because this standard will be adopted by the government, Ministry of Social Affairs, as a reference for all the childcare institutions in Indonesia, how to improve the quality of care for the children.
Telah ada satu komitmen yang insyaallah akan kita bangun ke depan dalam bentuk satu kerjasama yang lebih konkret, terutama untuk memajukan kualitas sumber daya manusia di pusat-pusat asuhan anak atau di panti sosial asuhan anak.
We are working on a framework with the government so that we can establish a team to develop further this kind of training program, and we want to roll it out, as we said earlier, across Indonesia, and we also want to partner with some technology partners to make it accessible through multimedia mechanisms throughout Indonesia.
And I have learned a lot on how Indonesia's policy is going to be going through transition and development to provide more care to the children of Indonesia.
With REACT, they give us many things, like today we have conference. Yeah, in here we learn how to build a good communications, project management, pastoral care, and how to know psychology and character of the children, because they come from various backgrounds.
In the session I did, which was strategic planning for orphanages, I was trying to share some of my knowledge of my current work environment, of how we deal with the future, the present, and the identity of a team that we're operating in.
Dengan adanya pelatihan ini sangat berguna bagi saya karena terus terang latar belakang saya bukan latar belakang dunia sosial, saya ada teknik. Sehingga apa yang diberikan di sini sangat berguna bagi saya, sehingga saya bisa mempunyai visi dan pengalaman untuk mengasuh anak dengan baik.
We were trying to hit on really 3 points that were key to the organizers here, key to REACT. The 3 points were listening, to really show that you're listening and demonstrate that you're listening to someone, to really encourage the children to find ways in everything they do every day to give them encouragement so they have a real sense of themselves. And finally, to give the children some choices. They live amongst a lot of rules. How can we give them choices that help them to grow up to make good decisions as adults?
Yang pertama, saya merasa diberdayakan dalam bidang komunikasi karena biasanya kita selalu enggak dengan anak ya, kadang bilang ya tanpa memberikan pilihan bagi anak tersebut.
I was presenting the topic of creating learning environment, and it was talking about how boys and girls learn differently. And what I want the participant to get from the workshop is what they can support in their panti, how can they assist the children in learning, how they can support the boys learning or the girls learning.
I've been speaking about something I call the edifice complex, which is why people prefer to give money to buildings rather than to care for people. People can understand buildings, they can understand issues like libraries, bathrooms, whereas they're never quite familiar with or appreciate the importance of the soft skills that take place inside those buildings.
Saya belajar mengenai bagaimana mencari dana. Karena selama ini saya tidak pernah pergi minta-minta untuk cari dana karena malu nanti seperti pengemis.
The idea is for them to take away from this conference these basics of the project management so that they can use this one in their day-to-day life in the project they manage in the orphanages.
Yang paling menarik, pertama karena saya tidak paham dalam manajemen, saya tertarik sekali bagian manajemen, proyek manajemen. Saya akan bisa membuat suatu program manajemen yang lebih bagus supaya panti lebih maju.
I have various roles here. In one level, if you like, I'm actually entertaining the delegates when there's downtime or when we need energizing. It's quite hard work sitting inside a conference hall for hours on end, so if we need an activities to bring a bit of energy into the room, then we'll run something there. But the second purpose of that is to try and share some activities with the delegates to give them some ideas of things they can take back to their orphanages to actually then play with the children. My presentation is actually then linked to that because my presentation is about the value of play, the value of structuring activities, not just for the children but also for the people who are leading activities, what they can get out of those, how they can learn more about the children and how that's a really important part of the pastoral care of the children.
Dalam pertemuan selama kurang lebih 3 hari, hal baru yang saya terima yaitu tentang pastoral care yang akan saya presentasikan dalam perhimpunan panti asuhan kami, yaitu akan kami kumpulkan semua pimpinan dan para pendamping. Nanti kami akan mempresentasikan bagaimana cara melayani dengan istilahnya pastoral care itu.
I think overall the conference is really good because it gives the chance for caregiver to show and to learn from each other and also from the speakers.
After this conference, of course, we have to see our vision and mission and objectives first. And from that, maybe we change that according to what we have learned here.
Basically, I want to changed the view of how we look at an orphanage. That an orphanage is not a final disposal, but a place where actually we can mine the gold.
They will have many knowledge, many new experience from the speaker, because we don't have the program like that in Indonesia.
It has been an interesting couple of days. I get to interact with the orphans, I get to interact with the government officials and people who are expert in their job and dedicate their lives to the development of children of Indonesia.
We change the image of the orphanage. By changing the image, we will love our work.
Dengan itu kami melihat bahwa para pengasuh ini sesungguhnya adalah para pahlawan bangsa. Karena memberikan segenap hidup, waktu dan tenaga untuk kemajuan orang lain.